We're going to start by making a slip knot and then chaining 42. Once you've made that chain of 42, skip the first 2 chains and make a half double crochet into the 3rd chain. You can also mark that first half double crochet. Also mark the last chain. Now we're going to be making 1 half double crochet in every chain except the last chain that we just marked. Once you've reached that last stitch, remove the stitch marker and then place it into the last half double crochet you just made. Into the last chain, we're going to be making 3 half double crochets. Now we're going to be working on the opposite side of the chain, not from where we placed the 3 half double crochet, but into the next chain loop, which has the marked half double crochet. Place 1 half double crochet into that. And then once that is done, just mark that stitch. Work the half double crochet over the yarn tail and just keep placing 1 half double crochet into each of the chain loops. So where we have 1 half double crochet on the first side that we worked on, just place 1 half double crochet back into that same chain space. Keep making those half double crochets and I'll meet you at the end. To start round 2, chain 2, turn your work and make 1 half double crochet into that first stitch. You can also mark that first half double crochet. And then make 1 half double crochet into each stitch. Up until you reach the stitch just before the stitch marker. Once you've reached the stitch marker, we're going to be working over these 5 stitches. Removing the stitch marker, we're going to be placing 2 half double crochets into that stitch, as well as the other 4 stitches. Counting from where the stitch markers are, you should have a total of 10 half double crochets. Now we're going to be making one half double crochet into each of the next 38 stitches, counting from the stitch after the stitch marker to the end. So keep doing this and I'll meet you at the end. Round 3, chain 2, turn your work, and make one half double crochet into the next 38 stitches. Do that and I'll meet you at the stitch just before the stitch marker. Once you're at that marked stitch, we're going to start by making one half double crochet into that. And remember to mark back that stitch. And then into the next stitch, place 2 half double crochets. So 1 half double crochet, and then 2 half double crochets into the same stitch. And this is what you should keep repeating until you reach the last stitch, which is marked. So from one end where the stitch marker is at to the next, you should have a total of 15 half double crochets there. Along here, we're going to be working those 38 half double crochets, so just do so, and then I'll meet you at the end. This is what it looks like so far. Now we're going to be moving on to round 4, starting with a chain 2, turning your work, and make one half double crochet into each stitch until we reach the increasing point. Now that we're at the point for the increasing, we're going to be starting with one half double crochet into that first marked stitch. And remember to insert back your stitch marker. And then into the second stitch, one half double crochet again. And on the third stitch, we're going to be placing 2 half double crochets into the same stitch. And this is what we'll be repeating into each of those stitches until we reach back to the next stitch marker. Okay, so remember it's one half double crochet, one half double crochet, and then an increase. Once you're through with the increasing, you should have a total of 20 half double crochets. Working down on the side, make those 38 half double crochets. For round 5, start by chaining 2, turn your work, and make back those 38 half double crochets up until you reach the increasing point, and I'll meet you there. Working over the next 20 stitches, into the first 3 stitches we're going to be placing 1 half double crochet into each of them. Once you're done with that, we're going to be placing 2 half double crochets into 1 stitch. So keep repeating that, 1 half double crochet into the next 3 stitches, and then into the fourth, 2 half double crochets. Once you're done, you should have 25 half double crochets at the increase point. Then just go ahead and make those 38 half double crochets along the side. Once round 5 is completed, move on to round 6 and follow the pattern that is on the screen. Once round 6 is completed, we're gonna move on to round 7. Starting off with making the chain 2, turning our work, and working 38 half double crochets up until we reach the point that we normally increase at. However, we will not be increasing. If you were working with stitch markers, you can go ahead and get 2 more, and we're going to be counting 14 stitches starting from the first stitch that we marked. Once you've counted up 14, mark that 14th stitch. Then count 2 stitches and mark the third. Counting from the bottom stitch marker to the top, or the top stitch marker to the bottom, ensure that you have 14 stitches on both sides. Now work 14 single crochets into those 14 stitches. After making the 14 single crochet stitches, go ahead and slip stitch into the next stitch. Then chain up 7. After chaining 7, we're going to go ahead and slip stitch into the next stitch. And for the next 14 stitches, we're going to be making 14 single crochets. Once you've completed making those 14 single crochets, make 38 half double crochets along the side. Now we're going to be working on the border, so along the bottom side here. Starting with chain 1, we will be using single crochet for the border. And just make 1 single crochet into each space. So you're working like over the half double crochet, the last half double crochet, and the chain 2. To make the border, I'm going to be making 21 single crochets, but you don't necessarily have to make 21 as well, being that how much you're able to make will depend on how the stitches are placed, being that we're not working into any specific stitch space. Once you have completed making the single crochet border, we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and just single crochet back into each of those stitches that were made. At the end of the second single crochet row, just chain one and pull through to cut that yarn later. Now you can decide how deep you want your wallet to be, if you'd like for it to be like this, or if you'd like for it to be more like this. So I'm going with this one. Cut your yarn ensuring that you have a decent tail end to sewing the sides with. Pull through on the chain one that was made earlier. To sew the sides down, I'm going to ensure that the second single crochet row is in alignment with the 38 stitch, and we'll be sewing the sides down from there. So I'm just realizing that it was not recording when I was sewing this side down. So I'm just gonna finish off with weaving in the end, and then I'll show you the next side. If you have a yarn tail from the chain that was made earlier, you can go ahead and just weave it in if you didn't work over the yarn tail. But if you did, you can just go ahead and snip it off. Okay, so for the second side, just ensure that the second single crochet row is in alignment with the 38 stitch, and then just start to sew the sides together from there. So for sewing the sides together, you can just do it however you wish. I am not using any, specific type of stitch. I'm just inserting the needle from one side to the next and bringing it back through and just repeating that process. Once you've completed sewing the sides together, you can also make a knot at the end to ensure that the side is secure. And after that, just go ahead and weave in the yarn tail. I'm going to be splitting the yarn that I'll be using to sew the button on. So here's where we have the first single crochet border row, and we'll be counting 8 half double crochets down, and that 8th stitch is where we'll be sewing the button onto. So the button is really being sewn onto the first round that we made, so on those two sides. Before securing the button completely, just to check to ensure that it is in a decent position. Also, if you have any yarn tail after sewing on the button, just weave those in. Time for the final result. This is what we now have. Thank you for watching, and I hope this was helpful.